What's up, YouTube? Capital G here, looking at a brand new Phantom Knights XC monster coming out in maximum prices called the Phantom Knights of Cursed Javelin, and it's actually a very solid card. A little bit odd that it is actually a rank 2. I remember when I saw Yuto summon this in the TV show, I'm like 95% sure that this was summoned in the duel against Rin and Serena. That was the duel that Odd Eyes Rampaging Dragon also got summoned in. I remember thinking, what the fuck? Why are PKs getting like rank 2 when they don't have any, level 2 monsters? I was like, when I think of Phantom Knights, I think of, level 3 monsters, some level 4s, kind of like a mix between that. So I was like, okay, it would kind of make sense for Phantom Knights to get a rank 4, but a rank 2, I was like, that's just like, we're going backwards. But they are getting a new trap card that actually counts as a level 2 monster. So that's pretty much how Konami wants you to summon this card. But the reason I think this card is good, not just because it has a good effect, but because it is generic, I feel like it just kind of broadens and expands the rank 2 pool, which is definitely a rank that got a lot better because of like, totally awesome and shit like that. But in general, I feel like the rank 2 pool is something that needs to be expanded upon because it's not like the strongest pool. It's not as good as 4 or maybe even 7. Those are like probably a little bit better. Anyways, let's look at the card. 1600 attack, 0 defense. It's a dark warrior because obviously it's a PK. It requires 2 level 2 monsters. So as I said earlier, you can summon this in Paleozoics. You can summon it in Baby Raccoons if for some reason you're still running that. Any deck that is running like the Frog engine, Swap Frog and Rodent Soda and Dupe Frog, all that good stuff, you can obviously make use of this. It says you can detach 1 XC material from this card, then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. And to the end of this turn, its attack becomes 0 and its effects are negated. This effect can be used during either player's turn. If this card has the Phantom Knights card as its material, you can only use this effect of Cursed Javelin once per turn. So basically, in layman's terms, this guy is kind of like a greedy Venom Fusion Dragon. The difference is if you happen to have Magnet Ring, you can use it during both players' turns, which would be amazing because that's what this card should have fucking did to begin with. But even if you don't, I could still see this card doing a lot of work because when you think of these rank 2 decks, like what is the Achilles heel of all of them? Like you can take Paleozoic as a prime example. Paleozoic is a very strong deck and it excels at grinding, but a lot of times what these decks struggle with is just getting rid of big monsters that are already on the field. Hell, I think that like pretty much most of the reason why they even run a card like Sky Cavalry is so that they can get rid of big monsters. Because if you have, let's just always use Ignister as an example. If I have Ignister on my side of the field, Totally Awesome is not getting over it. I don't care if you have 7 Totally Awesomes, it's just not big enough to get over Dig Ignister. You can go into the Obabinia, that's not big enough either. So like rank 2 decks can kind of struggle to get over really big monsters. That's generally when they bust out Sky Cavalry, but in a lot of senses, this card will kind of do the same thing as Sky Cavalry. It'll answer that big monster that your opponent puts on the board. The difference is not only are you no longer threatened by that monster's effects. So if your opponent had like, Utopia the Lightning, obviously you wouldn't just want to attack into that, right? You'd probably want to make sure that that thing has been neutralized and negating its effect. Obviously it would be, but you get to do a whole bunch of battle damage as well, making the monster 0 attack. So like this is a card that I don't even foresee you needing to get multiple turns out of. Like this is one of those cards where you probably just want to summon it to get over a really big monster or to do a whole bunch of battle damage in one turn. It's not something that necessarily has to live a couple of turns unless you're summoning it in PKs. The only thing about PKs is I don't know, man, unless they're going to get maybe they're going to get another card that's like becomes like a level 2 or something like that, because I really can't foresee you having 2 of these on the field at the same time. So it just seems like even for PKs, this is just going to be a difficult card to summon because PKs are just not naturally made to like exceed into rank 2s. But for all the other decks out there, as like I said, Paleozoics or Baby Raccoons and stuff like that, I think this card is definitely a welcome addition. I mean, I would definitely make room for at least 1 copy of this. I'm sure there's something in your extra deck that you can toss out to include this card in the extra deck. And it's kind of crazy because since the the first booster set for the 6th Yu-Gi-Oh! Animated series has been announced. I'm not really sure that PKs are going to get any more support unless Yuto has been dueling, or Yuto's going to duel within, like, I don't know, the last few episodes of RV. If Yuto gets some action in, maybe he'll use some new cards that are like level 2s, and then obviously it'll be a little easier to summon this. But I mean, if you can find a way to summon it in PKs, you know, outside of having double magnet rings, be my guest. But I don't even think you really need to run this card in Phantom Knights. I just think if you can make rank 2s, then you should probably run this card. So you guys let me know what you think. I think that if it could be used just without having the PK material, like if it could be used during both players' turns, it would arguably be like probably top 3 or 4 like rank 2s in the entire game. It would be that strong. But as it is, it's still a very good card. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already.